Hello everyone. I am Priyanka from OnestopNDT and I welcome you all to the episode 7 of NDT Talks. I see a lot of new faces this time. So, for those who are joining us today for the first time, let me give you a small brief about NDT Talks. NDT Talks is the latest initiative by One Stop NDT, wherein we bring together the best minds from the world of NDT once every month and have them discuss and have a conversation on a challenging topic from the NDT world. We have had 6 sessions so far. In case you missed any of those, check out our YouTube channel. Just like NDT Talks, One Stop NDT has many other valuable initiatives, including NDT Trends, a monthly magazine solely focused on providing the latest trends and insights from the NDT world. Now, NDT Buyer Guides. This is our newest initiative. The buyer guides are simple, easy to understand, and comprehensive resources that enhance your skills, help you stay updated, and make informed decisions. Right now, we have 3 buyer guides on our website. Check the link shared in the chat box and explore our NDT buyer guides. Well, this episode of NDT Talks is in association with NDE 2025, organized by ISNT. The NDE 2025 is being held from December 11th to December 13th in Mumbai. So, requesting everyone to register for the conference. I can see you guys want to see less of me and more of the NDT experts. Without further ado, let's start with today's NDT talks. So, the panelists for today's discussion are Dr. Sajeesh Kumar Babu, Chairman of ICNDT and President of NDTSS. Next up, we have Professor Krishnan Balasubramaniam, President of ISNT. Next, Mr. Clyde May, President of ASNT. And Mr. Mohammad Abufar, Global Consultant and Advanced NDT and Inspection Technologies. And lastly, let's have a round of applause for our moderator, Dr. Dipesh Vimalan, Deputy General Manager at BHEL. Let's have virtual claps for all our guests
Hi.
in the chat box. Without spending any more time, let's begin with today's session. So, over to you, Mr. Dr. Dipesh.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you for having me. Thanks to OnestopNDT, and thank you for your warm introduction. To be very honest, the best adjectives to describe me right now would be nervous, excited, and thrilled, because it's indeed a great opportunity for me to moderate this session, wherein we have an outstanding panel of experts representing the development of NDT across the globe today. Just to set a context for today's panel discussion, there was a time when the world thought that we have developed enough. Just to give you a feel of that, if you may recall, Lord Kelvin in the early 20th century said that there is nothing new to be discovered in physics now. All that remains is more and more precise measurement. What happened subsequently? As an irony, a lot of development happens. Einstein theory came challenging the classical mechanics theory of Isaac Newton, and a lot of development happened, and the science and technology grew exponentially, and now at an explosive pace. And today, the world transformation has become just a cliche. And today we are, in the last month of the year 2025. And the kind of development we have seen in the past couple of decades and what we are going to have, I don't know whether it should be seen as an overwhelming thing, whether we are prepared to handle this, great change, or whether it is for a really advantageous and it's going to give us a lot of benefits. That's why the topic that OnestopNDT has chosen for today's panel discussion assumes a lot of profundity. The topic of today is looking back, looking forward. What will NDT look like in the next 5 years? And in fact, it comes at a perfect time when we close the year 2025. We have seen a lot of such transformations in this year. So let me straight away dive into this discussion. And let me start by asking this question to the panel. From your perspective, what has been the single biggest shift or turning point in NDT over the last 5 years? So I would like to start with Professor Krishnan.
Thank you, Deepesh. I hope I'm audible. If I'm not, do
Yes,
let me
yes,
know.
you are. Yeah.
So I guess you're putting me at the opening bat, and so that's not going to be easy. But there are many, many things that have happened over the last few years. What was NDT, say, 5 to 8 years ago, is quite different. And the big paradigm change today is post COVID. Good old days before COVID, we hardly would encourage people to do online meeting like this. In fact, Zoom and many others actually made a good amount of money because COVID forced us to come online. Now, this is a digital technology. Now, digital technology in NDT has been around for many, many decades. We're going way back to early 80s. Digitization of data was something that was not uncommon. But if you put a question, what is the real turning point? I would say that it is the mindset and acceptance that digital technology, particularly quantitative digital technologies, irrespective of whether it is radiography, ultrasound, eddy current, and today even magnetic particle and liquid penetrant, you see that there's a buy-in from the industry towards automation for both collection of the data automatically and interpretation of data in a different way. Interestingly, one of the realization that is coming about in this paradigm is that previously we used to go after what I call high fidelity in the data, wherein high resolution, high accuracy was very important. And I think you alluded to that earlier in your dialogue. Now, today with digital technology, what we are seeing is that you can avoid the cost of going for high fidelity data, given the fact that digital data can be processed. And hence, there's a significant amount of effort today to move towards data processing and data interpretation, whether you use AI, whether you use algorithms, rule-based algorithms, that is up to you. But we're definitely seeing a big change in the mindset of the last mile operators to go for digital data. And using the kind of processing power that we have today, we are able to do so much better with not so high fidelity data, but even sometimes do better than what a high fidelity data could do for us. So I believe that the mindset acceptance of digital technologies by the last mile operator is probably the biggest shift that I see today. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. That's very well put. In fact, see, now what we have is a huge, pool of data. What do with data? How can we process this data? That is the million-dollar question that we are up against today. So thank you for your thoughts. And with this, over to you, Mohammed. Your thoughts on the major changes that have taken place in the past 5 years.
Thank you, Dr. Davish and Professor Krishna. He gave really a good a good answers, covering everything. But totally, I'm really agree with him. First of all, we change the way how to inspect, how to analyze the data. Those two really change the difference, from what we did before. COVID really, as mentioned by Professor Krishna, it give us something that we are not thinking about it. About the Zoom, about to do something with digitalization, and really, for advancement in the monitoring. It was accepted by, especially by the owner of the owner of the facilities, or especially in oil and gas sectors. So those shift, or the way they ask us how to do it, because the way the problem of COVID really give us an opportunity to develop ourselves, how to inspect, how to to be productive, and how to get data by using by using whether the drone, the robotics, something that really we can help the human being to have the best result. So although we get some problem, we get a problem from from the COVID, but our mindset, how to inspect, how to analyze the data, it help us a lot. Because at that time, still, the life is continuous. Still, we need to do our our daily work. And in NDT really, it was really a good opportunity for the developer to come with this. Although, in my opinion, still we are at the beginning. We have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of things need to be done. We are not yet, we reach the end, because there are many sectors in the worldwide, they require really a lot of development. But what we did so far, it's really very good. And that's why, and I think in the discussion we will talk about what we have, what we have in the in the past, what we have now, what looking to the future. So the time is moving. Everybody from his side, or either developer, whether the energy sector, whether the expert, I think cooperation, to know what they need, what the industry need. I am sure it will come with something. What we have now, especially for the monitoring, for the digitalization, it's really a big move. But still, at least for me here, in Saudi Arabia, we are looking for more and more. We are looking, for something to make sure the safe of our, the safe of our operation. We want to, nobody want to go in T&I or shut down for the facility if there is no need. But safety and the quality is the top. Don't compromise the quality and safety. So everybody want those two. Plus, they want something that to ensure everything is going compliance with the standard, compliance with the company rules, complying that really we have a good for a future. And I think we are working on it. Still time, still still we are we still need to work together to make sure the safe of our facilities. That's it.
That's great. Yeah, that's great, Mohammed. Very well begun. In fact, I can't agree more with you when you say that when it comes to safety and quality, we can never have enough of it. And you're absolutely right when you say that it is just the beginning. We have to see a lot more in the coming days. That's the
Yes.
pace at which the technology is changing. And now I would like to hear from Dr. Sajish Babu, your perspectives on the major turnarounds in the past 5 years, ever since COVID hit us. What has changed substantially? Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tibish. I fully agree with while the COVID has really changed the way we interact with each other and the way we accept the digital technology. And I would say there are some significant shift in the last 5 years, especially the way of doing NDT across various technologies, the business scopes, and the role of NDT, including with with asset integrity, has been completely modified. And also the concept of NDE 4.0, it was to be once kind of areas, and it's more of theoretical stuff. It's now progressed rapidly as a concept of practitioner, and it includes all those components like AI, digital twins, cloud, IoTs, analytics are now in a great shape. How inspections are designed, executed. And in the past, we used to do NDTs pure and reporting. Now it's been the last 5 years, you could see data-driven, integrated approach and the informations are fed directly into the life cycle management and maintenance planning. It's also helped the process industry say a predictive integrity management. The other I could see more AI-enabled post-inspection, especially in the areas of SITs, where the aviation industry is adopting to consistency and efficiency of getting the results, in fact, reducing the human errors. And the speed of inspection has been rapidly increased with more of AI pre-screening and with limited human experts interventions. These are some changes I could say it's happening along the way in the last 5 years. Being accepting the digital technology, it's more, and remote inspections is becoming common. The COVID era. Yeah. Over to you, Dr. Dipesh.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Sajesh. In fact, the new weapons in our NDT arsenal, and how to adapt those things and make the best out of these things. And in fact, you also echoed what Professor Krishnan mentioned in the beginning: the change in the mindset. How are we going to accept this change? What is our preparedness to adapt to this digitalization and its derivatives? With this, I would like to listen to Clyde as the president of ASNT. Your initial thoughts as to what has changed substantially in the past 5 years. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, and appreciate the opportunity to join the discussions this morning. And again, I'll echo everything that's been said. That certainly we've seen a significant shift post-COVID in the acceptance and the use of certainly digital enabled methods and techniques and innovation. I think one of the things that we need to understand is we've seen that acceptance and use primarily in the mechanical integrity in service world. If you look at construction, fabrication, manufacturing, maybe manufacturing not so much, but certainly construction, codes and standards space, we are still not touching that space with digital technologies at a pace that we need to. But I think probably for me, the biggest change I've really seen in the last 5 years isn't so much the use of technology, but it's the actual NDT workforce has changed. The acceptance to use new technology from NDT technicians is certainly gaining speed and gaining momentum. And we have to have that buy-in from the actual NDT users themselves, or the practitioners. If it doesn't matter what technology or what new bells and whistles we bring to the industry, if the technicians don't feel comfortable using them, they're just bells and whistles that sit on the shelf and don't get used. So I think we have good buy-in, but we're not doing enough to manage the workforce acceptance, and also in the construction and fabrication world, we're lagging behind in that arena. And the last thing I would say about the NDT workforce is it has definitely changed, maybe not just in the last 5 years, but since we've been so focused on in-service mechanical integrity. The NDT workforce has become very specialized. We have, when we say a UT level 2, you'll always see a parentheses, phased array or TOFT, or they only do one thing. And I think we have to be a little bit careful with that. And as we go forward, is we're going to turn the workforce into just specialty applications, and that focus. We didn't see that years ago. Everyone was an NDT technician. You learned multiple things. You could do multiple things. And today's workforce is becoming very singular in its focus. And to me, that's probably the biggest change I've seen in the last few years. And that's typically driven by the mechanical integrity side, because they're doing very specific tasks, and they get very comfortable with that. And we got to be careful we don't create we keep a well-rounded NDT workforce, not just a specialized workforce. So that would be my comments.
Okay, that's great. In fact, from your thoughts, what I'm trying to draw is that, yes, on one side, we have this outpour of technology. I don't know whether we can really stop it, whether we like it or not, it's going to happen. But the more important thing is preparing our workforce to accept to these changes. If we delay from ourselves, we might miss the bus. So your words emphasize the importance of gearing up to accept these changes, preparing our workforce with that. With this, we come to the end of the first round of questions. But when we move forward to the next round, I would like to start with Clyde again. It will be a follow-up question. Since you particularly mentioned about the workforce and the preparedness of people, particularly in the context of ensuring a reliable output in various sectors. As we know that, we all represent various regions. And though we call ourselves one world, one global village, thanks to the digital technologies, each region has got its own characteristics, its own nuances. And the way, the cultural aspects affect, the way the economy of various parts of the world, influence the growth of NDT sector. I would like to start from you, the round two, by seeking your, thoughts with respect to the major challenges and the major growth aspects that define your region. Clyde, your thoughts, please.
To define I'm sorry, I didn't hear the part of the question. Define what?
Yeah. The major challenges and developments that define your region, the growth of NDT in your region.
Okay. So obviously, particularly the U.S. is a little different, particularly in scale. I think there's quite a bit of NDT performed in the U.S. I would say that we would love to think that we were adopting technology at a pace faster than anyone else, but I don't know again that's true. I think that we hear the word AI so much, and everything is AI enabled and AI and AI tools, and I think we have to be very careful when we use that term. It certainly gets overused. We hear things like ADR and automated defect recognition. We really need to stop using terms that, a defect is something that's unacceptable, right? They're not, we're looking for discontinuities, and then we decide whether they're a defect or not. But so I think in the U.S., it's many parts of the NDT are literally, I think we try not to use the word commodity, but it's on such a scale that it's how inexpensive can we get the work performed, what's the lowest cost, without really looking at, is it the best thing that we could be doing? Is it the most appropriate? Could we use advanced technology? Yes, it may cost more today, but it will save us tenfold in 5 years. I think that the adoption of new technology in the U.S. is slower than it should be, given the scale and scope of the NDT that we perform. So, in any aspect, particularly energy, oil and gas, we have a tremendous amount of NDE performed every day, and you would be shocked at how much is still even paper driven. Thickness readings being manually recorded. It's amazing to me in today's world and the technology that we have not adopted more advanced technology on a scale given the scale of the NDT that's performed every day. So I think that's the biggest challenge is we love to say how much we've advanced and move forward, but when you show up on the job sites and you look around, it still is very old school. So yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge we have in the U.S. is tremendous amount of technology, but are we really using it to its full potential? And are we maybe kind of fooling ourselves that we've moved into NDT 4.0, but we're certainly not there.
All right. I would like to take it forward to Mohammed. Since I mentioned the challenges faced by various regions. As I understand, the oil and gas sector, particularly in the Middle East region, accounts for the major income, major revenue in NDT as a whole. So, do you have any thoughts? Do you have any viewpoints with respect to specific issues faced in your region, particularly in recent times? What exactly defines NDT and its growth in your region, sir?
Thank you. Well, I thought that the question to Dr. Sajesh, and I have no problem to take it. First of all, here in the oil and gas, really, they are moving to digitalization, but they are really very careful. They are looking for this, to case by case. The problem, the industry is not organized about this movement. It is really most of the company here in the region, especially all the oil, especially the oil and gas, they are looking, as I mentioned, for safety and quality. So they have some, challenges, a lot of challenges. So these challenges that really top of the challenges, they want to be, resolved, to be, to have something that resolve this type of challenge. So they are moving carefully to get, the new technology that it help them. Although it's too expensive, it's not available for everybody. That's why the approval, it's not easy to get the approval, and also validation. Many company, the developer, he may not like it, but this is the way that we have to to take it like this way. So I think we are moving. We are moving better than others here in the region. We are looking for digitalization. We are looking for something new that really resolve or change the way that we are inspect, traditionally with the traditional NDT. But at the same time, we are very, careful about, utilizing. There are many challenges that we are faced, or we want to improve what we are doing. So the problem is just we want to enhance our workforce, because this type of technology are it's not available. The training it's not available except with the company with several companies. So that's why I am sure the oil and gas authority, they have they know what they need. We develop our internal procedures when I was working, before I left, just to make sure that we are covering some of those, technology. Really, they are, there is no zero, solution, but it comes with like 50%. We work with them, we help them. We put investment, just to resolve this. As I said, we are not, stopping this. We like it, because it resolve a lot of challenge. It give us big eye to verify our integrity in our facilities. However, we are not accepting all. We validate. We want to make sure that's also a challenge that it might time. Sometimes it takes longer time to verify, but we are we are doing better than when we started. In terms of the validation, in terms of the of the what need the sequence that require to validate this technology, because we are open to the whole world, from all over. They are targeting us to introduce these technologies, and we are welcoming them. However, we want to make sure that some we have a lot of challenge, and the tab list require to be to be resolved. So this challenge, whether and we focus more, that this technology must be operated by in-house, by individual in the company, that we require later on to continue. And we have our cybersecurity. That's also a big problem when we have about that, when about integrating with our in our facilities. The cost, sometimes, and the cost, and also the development. That's why sometimes the development what we have today, we thought that this is the best. Later on, in 6 months or a year, something else is developed, and we found it with the digital radiography. Really, the industry is changing really very fast. So we make sure our selection, it comes to the right entity, the right developer, the right so we are looking from big picture about using this technology or digitalization, and we get with the maximum benefits. We are moving in that one. I think most of the oil and gas sector, they are moving in this direction, and there is challenge. Of course, there are some we cannot solve it today, but we are working with with worldwide company to make sure that if there is something new that we really resolve our challenges, top challenges, we are welcoming them. So we are in the right direction. Sometimes slow, sometimes fast, but we are in the right direction. Thanks.
Mohammed, in fact, you made a very interesting point. One thing which I specifically noted is that yes, these technologies bring in a lot of benefits, but there are quite a few hidden challenges, so problems. And another thing is that see, sometimes when you come across a new technology, you never know what is it going to bring, whether is it going to be really beneficial for you, or those things you have to try and find out, right? So in fact, that's a very interesting point. In fact, before going to Dr. Sajish, I would like to hear from Professor Krishnan in respect to in the same this thing, when it comes to the regional challenges and opportunities. I would like to know from you, Professor, do you think when it comes to this mindset, is there any an overly conservationist approach in our region? Is it in any way affecting the rapid growth, or we are quite open to adapting new technologies? In the recent times, what is your experience?
So thank you, Deepesh. I'm going to have 2 points. I'll try to. One is to answer the question that you posed to me now, and also answer the original question on the regional, challenges. Yes, India definitely lags behind in accepting new technology. No question about it. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you are, sir.
Yes, thank you. So it does lag a lot. However, it's catching up significantly. What I find is it is not a regional issue or whether the acceptance of technology. It is more of the sector or the industry centric acceptance. So certain industries accept new technologies faster and more easily. Certain others take a lot more time. So what I find is that the technology acceptance in India for certain sectors is very, very good, as good or better than elsewhere. But then we have several other sectors where the technology acceptance is extremely slow and often that is something that they have to sort of live with, because the process of making any change in certain industries is not easy. But there are industries within India that do take technologies extremely fast. One example would be the oil and gas industry. Very fast adaptation. In fact, they have adopted technologies faster than several other oil and gas outside India. But then there are many other sectors where we have challenges, where probably they are 20 to 40 years behind on technology, and change is not easy. The bigger challenge that I find, which going back to the original question, is a non-technological issue. India is marching towards becoming the top three economy. And particularly, we think that India will become a top three economy in manufacturing. And we'll almost double our manufacturing in the next, say, 4 to 5 years at most, maybe even earlier than that. Now, whenever you have manufacturing, I'm talking manufacturing across, it's not just shop floor manufacturing, you're talking oil and gas, petrochemical, fertilizer, everything put together. Now, you need NDT experts, you need NDT personnel to manage this growth. So as I said, we're going to grow by 100% over the next 4 years, which means we will need at least doubling our NDT personnel, certified NDT personnel, which is where the challenge lies. Unfortunately, due to the India does produce probably its share of NDT engineers and NDT technicians, and certainly that is a big benefit of being in India. However, the biggest problem that we have is due to salary disparity. We lose all the good people. We lose all the good people to other countries, and hence we are playing catch up. As I said, we need to almost double our NDT certified personnel in the next 4 years. And how do we do that, given the fact that we probably do not have the capability to hold on to them, because everybody else is also growing, by the way. It's not like Saudi Arabia is not growing. They are also growing, may not be at the same pace, but still they are growing. The US is growing. So what happens is that due to job opportunities, and I have nothing wrong against these guys finding a better salary for themselves. But in India, qualified personnel and retaining qualified personnel is a major challenge that we are facing today and probably will continue to face in the near future.
Mhm.
Some of that may be in certain areas, we may be able to augment that with technology, maybe use robotics, maybe use AI, and so forth. But to what extent it will augment is still a big question. So this is our, I would say, in going forward next 4 years for India, in spite of the large volume of personnel who get trained, we will struggle to meet the demand internally. So how do industries start to look at it differently? How do we pay them better? How do we make them more challenging, make them feel more challenged? These are going to be the big questions for India, given the fact that, as I said, we have to grow about 100% in 4 years. Thank you.
Absolutely. In fact, having qualified manpower in NDT is not a small task. You cannot overnight make anybody an expert. You have to train them. You have to invest on them. Then only it's going to happen. So retaining qualified and competent and expert workforce is indeed a challenge. And how are we going to meet this challenge in the changing times is in fact a very pertinent question. I thought in the round two I would take this question, as the last speaker to Dr. Sajid Babu, because as the ICNDT president, you have seen it all. You have traveled across the globe. You can, share your thoughts on the cultural differences, the challenges that you have seen as unique to various regions, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dinesh. I can come to the perspective of Asia Pacific. It's a little bit different from how we do things in Europe and United States. Although all the countries are growing quite in a rapid response, Asia Pacific is in a fastest growing NDT market because of driven by mega infrastructure growth, energy demands, transportations, and the manufacturing expansions, both India and China. However, what we are different from the West is the Asia Pacific is not harmonized, especially in the NDT regulatory frameworks. We have wide variations between countries. Some economies enforce strong statutory NDT rules, say Japan, Korea, Australia, while others rely on project-based specifications. Civil engineering NDT has almost no regional standardization, creating inconsistent acceptance by asset owners. And of course, personal certification is also unequal, say, strong in certain countries and mixed in ASEAN and South Asia. This gives impact on delays, reworks, inconsistent quality, limited cross-border labor mobility, and of course, barriers for the multinational players. One thing I would say is also the biggest bottleneck, as Professor Bala has mentioned, the aging workforce or the shift of workforce. The level 3 workforce is, it's been reducing or it's not meeting the demands, and low inflow of young professionals taking NDT as a high risk, heavy, slow career path sort of things. These challenges are there, and these challenges are, day to day, it's increasing further. And we do have limited training capacities on advanced NDT methods, including, say, phased array or digital radiography, or there is no training ecosystem has been done for the AI-enabled NDT or even digital twin networks. So this will create a little bit of bottleneck when we have transition of EPCs versus manufacturing projects. So we have to look into a balance between cost sensitivity and also limitations of inspectors and the low level of digital ecosystem readiness in customers, because you're looking for low cost of inspections. And where Mohammed has put in the cybersecurity and data ownership is also concerns when we talk about cloud-based inspections methodologies. So all these challenges are there, but of course, the shift would be not rapid. We will have a gradual shift into this to overcome these difficulties. More training organizations, certifications has to come on board to fix these gaps. And of course, the owners, end users has to pay a price which is reasonably required to cater and attract the young talents into the NDT markets. Yeah, over to you.
That's great. In fact, preparing the skilled workforce is indeed a great challenge as we look forward. And thanks. In fact, listening to you, I got a lot of clues for the questions that I should ask in the next couple of rounds. So now that you mentioned AI in your opening remarks, I would like to start the next round with you. And before I move on to the next round, yes, the questions will be asked not only by me. At the end of this thing, if time permits, I would like to take maybe a few questions from the audience also. So audience, please keep your questions ready. You can post it in the chat box. So once I complete a few sets of questions, definitely I would take some questions from your side also on your behalf. So Dr. Sajeesh Babu, maybe I don't know. Like this was my experience. Quite recently, I often hear, from experienced as well as young NDT operators. Not only NDT operators, but engineers and NDT managers about the influence that AI is going to have on their future career. One question is, yes, AI is there. Eventually, it's going to make its place in almost all NDT applications. But what, in your opinion, is going to be the true impact of AI? Of course, it might sound, as a cliche, whether AI is going to replace human beings or it's going to augment us, or like some of my colleagues express, is it going to be a threat for them? What is your take on that, Satish?
Yeah, yeah. It won't be a complete shift that AI would be replacing the humans. What you will see is the technology, what we have right now, like seeing defects, it will move from seeing defects to understanding the behavior. So how I can put it in a way, say AI assisted interpretations, let's take into that aspect. We could see from the last World Conference, we do have a lot of papers with respect to AI and the developments. So it will take an uptake of deep learning for image and signal interpretations, like critical image deductions, say anomaly ranking. But along these ways, in the next, say, 5 years or a decade, the routine well radiographs or taking a thickness scans or a composite inspections, this will be pre-screened by the validated AI tools. AI tools need to be validated as well, when you put into practice. How the human experts or engineers, even high-skilled technicians, will focus on the edge cases where you have the pass-fail criteria is crucial, correlations, the acceptance decisions, not on the first level of defect hunting. So this will change. However, also the standardized algorithms and workflows will reduce the inspector reliance, or even it will improve the way of deductions, reducing the false calls. So these changes will be having when we enabled this or accepting the new AI innovations. It won't be completely eliminating the human aspects. So we should think of training to the next level where uh, we have more decision-making skills. Even you may need to think whether a level 1 kind of training is needed, or that would be taken off by AI and modeling. The other parts where in my area, say in Southeast Asia, because we do have large scale assets. When I say assets, it including those very expensive bridges, stay cable bridges and infrastructures, underground tunnels, because we do have tunnels from 1977 or even earlier. These infrastructures are aging, where you will see a lot of digital twin-based NDT and the structural health monitor. It moves in line together to consolidate data, and it will become a living digital twin where we can see the lively changes of the infrastructures. And also it helps in the residual life predictions, where you can stop a structure and get into a new structure much earlier rather than leading to years or disasters. So this would take place. So where our current level 3s can participate on those monitorings and moving into even further levels of inspections. So that's the paradigmic shift I look into on both angles. One is accepting the AI-based technologies, and then where humans have a different role to play. And while accepting the high-skilled professionals to validate the digital twins, and then to go on an integrity-based structural monitoring approach. Yeah, over to you then. Sorry, you're muted, Dipesh. Sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, in between,
Yeah,
due to
okay.
some noise from around, I had to just mute it temporarily. Am I audible?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, in fact, what I could note from your thoughts is that you have quite an optimistic perspective about AI. In fact, when I interacted with people over here, I could get a mixed, sort of respond. Some people are quite optimistic; they are eager to grab that, while quite a lot of people are there who look at it as a threat. And of course, in the coming times, we would get know what exactly is going to happen. No one can predict it for sure. So this question I would like to take forward to Clyde now. In fact, one question which I have is yes, whether AI is going to be a strength, is it going to augment our NDT potential, or is it going to replace human beings? And is it going to bring challenges in that aspect? At the same time, I would like to add one more question to that. Looking forward, okay, in these changing times, how are we going to upskill our people? Because the kind of skills that are going to be required to face the challenges of these new technologies, uh, that itself is a huge subject. So from ASNT's perspective, how do you look at this?
Obviously, a great question about what is the role of AI and its interaction with the human. And you're exactly right. You will get two very different perspectives depending on who you ask. Some people are very open, and some people are very closed to the idea and do see it as a threat. I do not believe that AI is going to replace the human. I believe AI will be human led, not it will be a human led tool, not not the reverse. So I think the idea of how are we going to solve our workforce capacity gaps in the coming future, just as you see in India or any other part of the world, we definitely have a skilled and competent workforce shortage. And the demand for NDT is going to continue to grow as assets and infrastructure age. There's no question. We are not going to see a downturn in the need for NDT. So how do we close the gaps? How do we fill the gaps? I think that's probably the first and most important place for us to look at where we can use AI to augment, whether it be not necessarily to replace the human, but to allow the human to be more efficient and more focused on the things that require human intervention, and leave the AI to things that are a bit more mundane and repetitive, or also to use AI to offset some of the gaps in training and skills. We can do that. We have that ability today. It's just getting it into the workplace and getting it adopted. We can use smart hardware. We can use smart software. And I'm going to use that term rather than AI enabled, because as soon as you say AI, then or AI enabled, we kind of lose exactly what it is we're talking about. But if we talk about smart hardware or we talk about smart software, one of the challenges, as an example, for the implementation of phased array, particularly for weld inspection, is there are a tremendous amount of variables. There's a tremendous amount of knowledge that is currently needed to be boots on the ground at that weld for a very trained and skilled operator. But if we can do some of that remotely, which is smart hardware, we can actually remotely dial into the equipment. And if we need to do, we've got a bevel angle change and we need to rework our scan plan. Rather than having someone physically boots on the ground doing that, we could do that easily remotely today. We just aren't adopting that. So is that AI? I wouldn't call it AI, but it's smart hardware. All right. And we can have smart software. We can use technology to fill the gaps in the competency levels of the boots on the ground. And I think that's probably where we need to spend a little bit more time talking about those type of things rather than using that big word AI. But the thought or the fear that AI is going to replace the human, you know, I certainly don't see that in the coming years. You know, we don't know what we're going to be talking about 50 years from now, but 5 years from now, no, we're not going to be talking about the human being replaced. Yeah, I think that is probably the first point I'd like to make about it's not going to be, we are going to continue to be a human led. Yes, we use AI for tools. We desperately need to use more technology and smarter tools. And I think if you frame it that way, it becomes less daunting and less scary to the individual. He's now not being replaced. He's just getting some tools to help him do his job. And we're also going to have to use that approach to get people trained and competent faster. I think, at some point we're going to have to look at the old 60-year approach of saying this is how we qualify and certify individuals. What we were doing 60 years ago doesn't fit today's workforce. I grew up, my career began, almost 50 years ago. It was a career doing multiple things. I've done everything, not everything, but I've done many, many different things in the NDT world. That is not done today. We go in and individuals focus on very specific things. They're very task focused now. So at some point we're going to have to start training to task and qualifying and certifying people to do tasks. So the industry changed. We're still using models from 60 years ago to try to fit. We're going to have those discussions pretty soon. But the workforce capacity is not going to get better. And we're going to have to use tools to augment the gaps or to fill the gaps. And we're going to have to really take a hard look at how we prepare NDT people to perform tasks in the industry, because that's particularly, today's society is very, we want to be instant gratification. We want to be, we want a great job really quick. And, we don't want to spend 2.5 years getting trained in certifications to do something that, if I training to do a task, I could have him productive in 6 months. So, these are the kind of things that how do we solve the gap issues? Technology is certainly a tool, but how we prepare individuals is going to also have to be strongly looked at. So my thoughts there.
Yeah, in fact, what you have perfectly put is that it's not a binary. It's not, it will replace or it will not replace. It's a multi-dimensional thing. And quite a few aspects are there, which we have to, it's in fact, it's a very complex thing. And maybe in the next 5 years, yes, it might not change, but we never know what's going to happen in the next 50 years. I would like to know the quick thoughts from Mohammed first, then Professor Krishnan, with respect to the perspectives, your perspectives on AI. Yeah.
Well, I think again, AI is a tool that would help me. I need it. I need it in many aspects. Especially, we have an aging infrastructure that I want to make sure that it is safe. There is no defect present. So whether in the construction or in the aging infrastructure, and for construction, we're doing thousands of films, film interpretation. I grow, I've been around. I work for 40 years, and we face several individual missed call or offer call. AI will help me, to tell me, where to focus, and also that's what we need, the speed. And also, if I have, the standard ask me to, for 5 or 10% validation, I can do more than that using the AI. And also I can verify the quality of the film. All of these are really very fast. Very fast. It will help me a lot. It's like calculator. It's multiplying big number by big number. It gives me the answer, but lead by me. I am the responsible. All oil and gas, they need someone to undersign, whether Dr. Saab, Dibesh or Muhammad or whoever, someone lead. And AI will never leave it alone. We'll lead by the human. We lead by the human. And to replace now, we have to upskill our people to understand, to know what need to be done. And I think, join both, the AI and the expert, it will eliminate, especially those young, they are really need, to understand how to use the AI. I am sure what we did in a long time, with for the film, or for testing with using manual ultrasonic or even the phase array. So we need this AI to tell me where to look, what I have. It will focus to me that if I have a problem or I have no problem, but still I am the leader. I am the leader. Although I in this industry, still AI is not covering everything. When we say phase array maybe it's cover only some of the world configuration, not everything. Still we need some development. Of course, AI work here and there and give us help here and there. Still, we need it to emphasize and also to give more speed for the especially for fitness for surface. And infrastructure, as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot. We want to make sure that our facility or our piping and equipment are in good condition. So we will know by the AI what we have. We used to calculate the remaining life of the pipe. Now it will give me quick, and I can send it to Dr. Dabish in India and tell him, ask him about second opinion, and very fast. Unless before we have a problem, whether we detected or undetected, maybe the next point to the OSI point we missed. But now by using the technology, I can cover big area, so I can make sure there's safe operation. I can make sure the quality of the world. I can make, especially with with the thousand of world in the pipeline across the country pipeline. I have 1,000. I want to make sure all this. I will not depend on hydro test. Yes, hydro test is good, although the standard is not mentioned. To use AI, but still AI will help me. The company, if the company allow me to use it, or the company they give me the authority to use it, it's a good tool that it help me. But it's under my guidance, under my rules, what I have. So later on, if I have, if there is any failure, I will be the responsible. I have something that would require or not. So AI will not replace still the human being. It will lead by him. It will help us. Still, we need more development in using the AI, because there are many applications, and mentioned by other Dr. Sajesh or Professor Krishna. There are many industry. They still not use it. They need the AI, especially it's very critical, like in critical like aviation and others. We need to use it, because a human being is still still it's a human. Still he can, if we put overloaded him, he may miss some of those defects. AI will help me. Again, we need to, all of us to organize how the AI works, where it works, how we, if it's allowed by the standard or not allowed by the standard. There are so many things, and every company, they put their own guidelines or their own standard. But in my opinion, what we use it, especially for the aging plant, it's safe for us million. It's safe for us with a confident that this vessel or this pipeline are in good condition. So AI, I can mention that there may be 1,000 world, we validate it, we have no problem. By the human being, it will require maybe a month or more for maybe 15, maybe a big number of experts to verify maybe a half of this world, and to tell me there are nothing there, or maybe still they need some support or second opinion. So will not replace, it will again lead by AI. Back to you, Dr. Dabish.
Uh, Deepesh, you're muted again.
Dabish.
You're muted. So,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
are
with or without AI, human beings are going to be indispensable. That's what, in a nutshell, what
well,
I could take from you.
so yeah. So the
Yeah.
only thing I would like to add to that is the following.
Yes, sir.
Should we
Yeah.
be scared of AI today? The answer is no, because today AI
Okay.
has some limitations, as was put forth by all my predecessor speakers. It is going to help you do a lot of chore work. Then the question that comes up is, should we be afraid of AI? And the answer is yes. And I'll tell you where you have to be afraid of AI. Today, like what Abu Mohammed was talking about, lots of data is generated, data is collected. But just like we have fake videos and fake, images, today for me to create X-ray, digital X-ray image, or create an ultrasonic phase array data that is not real, but very difficult to figure it out, is very, and even AI, and it'll be generated by the AI. And so you start to worry about that. And this is not new. In the last couple of years, we are seeing, previously we used to see data that was photoshopped, easy to pick up. Now, more and more, we are seeing data that are generated by AI. And now this is where the worry comes in, is that you have fake data, which means you have fake billing. You also have fake, a lot of wells and other structures that are not being inspected, but being certified as inspected. These will actually go against what we all stand for. So yes, we have to be afraid of AI for these reasons. I am not too worried about, as was already put, AI taking away the job. I think right from the time when computers were built, we have always managed to morph ourselves and find better jobs and higher paying jobs. And that's what will happen here also. But I'm worried about the fact that data manipulation, data, fake data are going to be something of concern to me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. In fact, I was very keen to continue this discussion. Unfortunately, due to time paucity, I have to wind up my set of questions. So I think it's time to move on with a couple of questions. I'm really sorry to the audience for not being in a position to take all your questions. Very quickly, I will just take a couple of questions from the audience, which I can see in the chat box already. So one question Eddie Pompa has asked is, what would you consider as the most valuable skill or tool that inspectors can offer in the future? Any one of you can take this question. Should I repeat the question? What would you consider as the most valuable skill or tool that inspectors can offer in the future? Professor, you would like to go?
I'd be happy to address that one.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah,
Right,
so
please.
I think certainly become as well-rounded as you can possibly be. Learn as many things as you possibly can. Try not to focus on a singular thing, but probably the most valuable skill is the ability to reason and think. And I think we rely too much on apps. We rely too much on that instant answer rather than problem solving. I think we are losing our ability to problem solve. And for a technician in the field, the ability to adapt to, it's rare. What we go to inspect is rarely what we find when we arrive, or the conditions change. How do you adapt? How do you problem solve in the moment? And I think learning that skill is something that we don't really teach any longer. And for an NDT technician, particularly in today's world, the ability to problem solve and reason and think is your most valuable skill and asset. If I'm looking to hire someone, that's one of the things that I look for. Yeah. Could I send this guy out and he could actually solve a problem on his own? And okay. That would be my point.
Okay, thank you, Clyde. So one last question I will take as we are really running out of time. This is the last question for the day. This is from Ishwaran Tangavel. I think Dr. Sajesh can take this one. Would you like to advise on employer-based certifications, in particular to Asia Zone? It seems there are a lot of gaps in employer capability on this region of NTT. Quickly, Dr. Sajesh, your thoughts.
I think it's a very valid question. It's not only Asia; it's also the rest of the world. There is always a challenge on delivering the employer-based certification in a proper manner. It's on both aspects. One is on the understanding of the employer-based certification, and the other one is the integrity of managing an employer-based certification. So this challenge is there, and that's why most of the countries have been understand this problem and then develop the international standard, say ISO 9712, in terms of general standards, or say if you talk about aerospace, it's been controlled by the National Aerospace Entity Board with EN 4179. So these standards are there to adopt more centralized certification. However, the employers have been, in a fast-paced business. They are trying to see, okay, we can get over of it and have the certifications quickly done without the necessary competence. But this has been balanced now. We do have accreditations playing a major role. Say if our NDT is under 17025 or 17020 standards, either as an inspection body or also as a laboratory. So the national regulators comes in board. So you can see it's been changing, and this will also have a widespread, fast-paced change where people have a proper driving license, which is something like a central certification, and still have the employer-based certification for very specific employer needs, which is very popular in aerospace industry. It may have into, say, nuclear or even civil applications and all these industries. It will come on. Yeah. So that's my thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Sajesh. Yeah.
Devesh, can I
add something? Yes, please. Please. Yeah, please.
Yeah. Because I've been, in this for the employer certificate. What we have here in especially, most of the oil and gas, or maybe all of them, we have a qualification test. So this qualification test will push, the service provider or employer certificate to upgrade their qualification, to make sure before they come to our test to qualify, because he will lose. If they come, they will fail. They will come back and sit them. So he's looking for a job. So since he's looking for a job or to or services, he will upgrade his employer certificate to meet the oil and gas requirements. So that's why we are very strict with the qualification exam to make sure. Yes, we agree whatever he put him there, it's a requirement to a prerequisite to have a certificate from his employer, but we keep it to him, to his responsibility, whether he would like to be very strict or very good, a certificate with knowledgeable technician, or just he will bring it to us and he will fail. And if he fail, he will not come next day. He will come after a month, and later 3 months, and later 6 months. So he will be like a, like a sort of, because we follow the standard, he will be lost paying that, salary for the individual. So he fixed his, employer certificate before to come to us, which resolved the problem. Just added for this. Back to you.
Yeah, that's in fact a great addition to what Dr. Sajid said. Thank you very much, gentlemen. With this, we come to the end of today's panel discussion. I can thank you all, gentlemen, enough. In fact, in you all, actively participated, shared your great insights from your vast experience, and thank you to the audience as well for asking, such stimulating questions. So, with this, I would like to, hand over the session to the host. Over to OnestopNDT.
Well, thank you, Dr. Dipesh, and all our panelists. Wow, what a valuable session. I am sure our audience got to learn something new. So, before we end today's session, I would like to inform you all that all the attendees of today's session will get a certificate of attendance. You can expect the certificate in 2 to 3 days. And finally, don't forget to be a part of NDE 2025 next week. Be a part of One Stop NDT's initiatives and stay updated about the NDT world. See you soon. Bye.